Donald Trump loves to publicly confess to crimes, and that was certainly the case during a recent rally in Arizona where he detailed felony bribery. Take a look.
The greatest fundraiser in history. All I have to do is call up the head of every Wall Street firm, head of every major company, head of every major energy company. Do me a favor, send me 10 million for my campaign. Yes, sir. They say the only thing is, why didn't you ask for more, sir? I would be the greatest fundraiser in history. Don't forget, I'm not bad at that stuff anyway, and I'm president. So I call some guy, the head of Exxon. I call the head of Exxon. I don't know, but I'll use a couple. Hi, how you doing? How's energy coming? When are you doing the exploration? Oh, you need a couple of permits, huh? Okay, but I call the head of Exxon. I say, I'd love to send me $25 million for the campaign. Absolutely, sir. Why didn't you ask? Would you like some more? And if I make the call, now people make the call, it's different, but if I made the call, I will hit a home run every single call. I would raise $1 billion in one day if I wanted to.
Hey everyone, look at me. I'm the best at getting bribed. I'm the best at being corrupt. I like the fact that his supporters applauded that. It's like they don't listen to anything he's saying. He's literally telling you, I am the best at getting bribed. And what he detailed there is quid pro quo bribery, which, to be fair to Trump, he does have a lot of experience with that. He got impeached for it when he withheld congressionally appropriated funding toward Ukraine, unless Ukraine announced some sham investigation into his political rival Joe Biden. Again, he got impeached for that. But of course, later ExxonMobil had to clean up Donald Trump's mess, and they tweeted the following: "We are aware of the president's statement regarding a hypothetical call with our CEO, and just so we're all clear, it never happened. But we should take a look at what does happen on a regular basis when it comes to legalized bribery in this country. Because Trump is crushing Joe Biden in campaign donations from the embattled oil and gas industry. The president and outside groups aligned with him have raised nearly $13 million from individuals at oil and gas companies. That easily dwarfs the $976,000 the industry has sent to Joe Biden. Trump has touted an agenda of American energy dominance marked by cutting environmental regulations and pushing energy exports. That type of quid pro quo happens all the time, every single day in America. The only thing that makes it illegal is if you call it what it is publicly and acknowledge that you're being bribed. If you're not saying those words overtly, it's totally fine.
Okay, first funny part of this is, I'd call him up, how is energy coming? What does that mean? How is energy coming? It's an unsolvable riddle. Anyway, so now on the important stuff. He says, well, I mean, it's a hypothetical. Of course, he's not gonna call them up and ask them how energy is coming, and they're not going to send him checks. Except they did, as Anna just showed you. They sent him $13 million in checks. And he did open up public land for drilling. And he did give them literally every single policy they asked for, literally. But the $13 million that went to his campaign from them had nothing to do with the policies. That's what we're told. By the way, we're not just told that by Trump and the Republicans, we're also told that by the Democrats and the mainstream media. No, the $13 million from oil and gas companies are because they care about our health and they just wanted to be charitable. Who is maniacally stupid enough to believe that? Even QAnon wouldn't believe that. Nobody would believe that. Unless you work in Washington, you're like, oh yes sir, ExxonMobil giving $13 million and the other oil and gas companies. Of course they did that for everybody's health because they care so much about the American people. That's why they gave $13 million. No, it's a bribe. Everybody knows it's a bribe. wolf-pack.com/join. Fix it, get an amendment. Supreme Court option is dead. Your only choice is wolf-pack.com. So anyway, I mean, and the crowd goes nuts. Remember his slogan in 2016, probably the single most helpful thing to him during a campaign was drain the swamp. Now they're basically chanting, fill the swamp, fill the swamp. Okay, now we say all of this as if like any of this is hypothetical or theoretical. Remind me who Donald Trump's Secretary of State was. Oh right, the CEO of ExxonMobil. I'm not kidding. Rex Tillerson, his first Secretary of State, was the CEO of Exxon Mobil. So it's not, and how would he know that he could do that with Exxon? Because he already did. If you can't see that, you're blind and you're in a cult, and you might be in one of two cults. Cult 45, Trump's cult. Oh, when Trump takes bribes, it's the best bribes, the best bribes. He's so good at taking bribes, right? Congratulations. Or you're in a mainstream media cult where you're like, no, I don't see any bribes. No, I think all the politicians are honorable. I think they're wonderful people who are having ideological debates. And so I think tens of millions of dollars given to politicians is not at all corrupt. Everybody just cares about the American people so much, that's why they're doing it. Okay, I mean, these guys claim to be in news. They claim to be in news.
Yeah, look, Cenk, look, the news doesn't really ever talk about bribery, right? I mean,
you know why?
Because they don't want to tell the truth and they don't want to draw attention to it because it's demonstrable. Like you can see the quid pro quo bribery happening in politics every single day. And it's a virus that has infected both political parties, right? Like in this context, we're talking about the fossil fuel industry. And yes, Republicans have done away with environmental regulations. That's why the fossil fuel industry overwhelmingly gives to Republicans versus Democrats. But they give to Democrats as well, which is part of the reason why Joe Biden won't sign on to the Green New Deal, right? It's not because of ideological differences. See, when you have money in politics, ideological differences don't matter because at the end of the day, the only thing that does matter is where the money's coming from. And when you have corporate cash flowing in, all of a sudden the ideologies seem pretty similar to one another when it comes to the issues that matter the most. And look, Cenk, you mentioned how Trump said he was going to drain the swamp. And I think it's really important to always share the receipts with our audience. So here's a fun compilation video that J.R. Jackson put together.
If I'm elected president, we are going to drain the swamp in Washington, D.C. We are going to drain the swamp of corruption in Washington, D.C. It is indeed time to drain the swamp in Washington, D.C. You can send us Republicans like Mike Braun to drain the swamp. We're going to Washington, D.C. to drain the swamp. Absolutely. When we win on November 8th, we are going to Washington, D.C., and we will drain the swamp. You probably heard me say it. Drain the swamp.
He, of course, left out the rest of the sentence. And then fill it with Exxon Mobil oil. Fill it with Exxon Mobil oil. I like how Exxon Mobil did that tweet to clean it up. They're used to toxic cleanups. And guys, maybe the most important part of the story is what Anna alluded to. Yeah, they give $13 million to Trump, the oil and gas companies, but they gave about $1 million to Biden. And what did Biden say during the last debates? I won't end fracking. There's no way I'm gonna end fracking, okay? Look at how cheaply they buy the Democrats. Oh, the Republicans will give a lot of money to, we want them to win. But you guys be good boys and girls, okay? I'll just bribe you less than 10% when I bribe them, and you'll do as you're told anyway, you're a Democrat. And anyone in news that isn't talking about this as the main motivating factor, let alone any motivating factor, doesn't actually do news. And by the way, that is part of the reason why there's so many conspiracy theories out there now. People have become nuts because they know one thing is I can't trust the news because the news tells me that the politicians are honorable people and I see them with my own eyes taking millions of dollars in bribes. I see it, and every news person goes on TV and says that is not a bribe. No, they're great people. And so when you lie to the American people like that 1,000 times over, 1,000,000 times over, you shouldn't be surprised that they lost faith in you. Wolf-pack.com/join. Look, the reason I mention Wolfpack, they're not just trying to get money out of politics and end this corruption. They believe in a constitutional amendment to do that. They're one of the very few groups on any side, they're nonpartisan. American Promise is another one, and Move to Amend. Those folks believe in an amendment. All the other Democratic groups are like, oh, a convention, no way. To put together an amendment to change the Constitution to stop the corruption, no way, no way. Nancy Pelosi told us that corruption is awesome. We won't support any of that. So all the elites agree, corruption is awesome. The rest of us despise it, including, by the way, originally the Trump voters in 2016. You should remember that when now Donald Trump is celebrating the corruption that he's the head of in DC. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.